I usually say something actually, which is at my one of the companies that I worked for, there were two people who they were not very good. Like they've been working in the field and they were not very good. Like it's fine, but one of them was a dick, and the other one was a really nice person. Like he was really nice. So every time he asked anyone for help, everyone would help him because he was a nice guy. The other one was a dick, and I was like, you can teach someone how to code. You can't undick a person. You just can't.
You can't undick a person.
You can't undick a person.
Hey everyone, this is episode number 18 of NADCAST, and today I have a special guest from Portugal. She's living in Berlin for now.
I'm living in a house for now. I'll still be living in Berlin, just on the street.
So, guys, this is Sara Vieira. I hope I pronounce your name correctly.
Better than like a lot of people, so that is great.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, because I always have problems with my name. People just can't pronounce it if they're not from Bulgaria. But I'm always whatever. It's fine.
Is it Krasimir?
Wow.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah.
So you call me Sara and not Sarah. So a lot of people just call me Sarah, and it's not Sarah. So you actually said the correct thing for the first name.
Ooh, okay.
Nice. We did okay. That's good.
Okay, so I actually don't know what you're doing right now. I know that you're doing lots of public speaking, but is this like your real job or what you're doing actually?
So technically, it's kind of my job. So I started at YLD, the company that I'm at right now, as a full stack developer. By full stack, I mean Node. That's it, just JavaScript. And then I started doing a lot of public speaking and blogging and stuff like that, and they put me as a developer advocate. So yeah, technically it's part of my job, but I'm gonna cut on speaking a bit. So yeah, it's kind of part of my job, but not really the entire job.
Okay, this thing with the developer advocate, I always wonder what does mean actually, because I see people. Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing is that it depends a lot on companies. It depends a lot by company. So like if I work for a product company, like my job is to essentially make people use the product, basically. So if I am a developer advocate for GitHub, I'm literally looking at like Circle CI, for example, because I'm looking at Circle CI right now. Circle CI. If I'm a developer advocate at Circle CI, my point is to not make anyone look at Circle CI and be like, oh, Circle CI. But for example, if you're a developer advocate, usually at an agency or at a consultancy, the main idea is to like spread the knowledge that the consultancy has and like help the clients and help the people inside the consultancy and help the people outside. So a good thing that the company that I work for has is that we're really involved in like open source and making conferences and making meetups. So that's actually part of my job. So I started running a meetup here in Berlin, and that's technically part of my job. So I know in my side what it is. So I kind of know what it is. I still ask my manager like a couple of times. But technically what I do is that I learn stuff to then teach other people how to do that stuff.
That's what I think it's the positive side of developer advocate. The other one where you have to convince someone to use the product of the company, I guess it's not so nice, because now you're free to pick whatever topic you want, and it's
like as long as the company uses it. But since they use Node, Docker, Vue, React, TypeScript, and pretty much anything that is relatively new, that is completely fine. Also, part of my job is also to contribute to open source, so in things that I need. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. I can't lie. So
okay. Yeah, it sounds really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. So the thing is that I did a lot of traveling, and that's what I'm stopping a bit right now, because I couldn't have time to do a lot of things. So I think the product part like really depends on the company that you work for. Like, for example, if I was a developer advocate at like Code Sandbox or something, I would sell the fuck out of Code Sandbox. That's fine because I love it. And like,
Yeah, it's pretty cool, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, like if I was a developer advocate at like Notion or something, like something that you use, I think it's fine to like sell that. But I think a lot of people end up as developer advocates for things that they don't really use themselves sometimes. And
Yep.
that's where the problem starts, basically.
Yeah, I a couple of times actually reach out such people, and it's just not working because they can't convince me because they
Convince
don't.
themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. You mentioned conferences, and to be honest, the reason to invite you at this podcast is an article that I read about the dark side of the conferences. And this thing really hits me because a couple of years ago, I'm definitely far away from your 50 talks per year.
Good. You should be.
I'm far away from
Do not aim for that. That's not a good aim.
Yeah, it's I'm doing right now like 5, 6 maybe per year, and but there was a period where I was really into public speaking, and by saying into, I mean that I really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I had a month with 4 events in just a single month, and pretty much what you said in this article, I'll publish a link to it in the notes of the podcast. It was pretty much true, and it is still happening. By the way, I was at this conference, and after my talk, I'm usually going out and I'm usually talking with people, but this time was no one, and it was a little bit weird because I was outside and I was like looking for people to chat with, and at the end I just left because there was no one to chat with, and there was no one which I know, so I just said, okay, I'll just go, and I was anyway have to go, but I was thinking it would be nice if I just chat with someone for like 15-20 minutes. So yeah, I think we should talk more about this, and we all know the good sides of public speaking. At least for me, this is like making new friendships. You meet your heroes, which happened to me a couple of times. You travel
for free.
For free, yeah. Most of the time it's for free. It's not always for free, by the way.
Oh no, it's never for free because you have to pay for food and stuff. But you know what I mean.
No, yeah, but sometimes even okay, I'm not going to mention the name of the conference, but they said, okay, just book your flight, find a place to stay. We'll just give you the money after that.
That never happened, did it?
It didn't happen, and I don't really have time to deal with flights or search apartment close to the venue and stuff. So yeah, at least that's my experience. So can you say a couple of points about the dark side of the conferences? What's really makes you feel bad at conferences?
I think it's not so, for example, like I think it's really good that people do conferences, and I think we need people that do conferences. Yeah, but like there's a point where you're just like I can't do this anymore. I think the best thing that happened through this article was that actually a lot of people that I look up to sometimes came to me and messaged me and said, I did the same thing. This happened to me. I've canceled conferences and I felt the same way. So what I expected out of that article was to have like, imagine 10 comments and 9 of them would be calling me like an, oh my God, what was the name that I thought people were going to call me? Like a self-entitled bitch or something like that. Like first world problems kind of thing. It's like, bitch is complaining about free shit. What the fuck? No one called me a white privileged bitch. And I was so proud. And like one person be like, I feel you, girl. And the other way happened. And I honestly didn't expect it. Like he went quote unquote viral. I'm not sure what viral means, but quote unquote viral. And I think like the worst part of conferences is not actually the conferences. It's just all the travel just like takes a huge toll on you. Because like so I had a month in March then now looking back on it, it was like, it was insane. So I left home on the 4th of March, and I got back home on the 2nd of April. I literally stayed out for the entirety of that month. I went to Front-End Newcastle. After that, I went to React Amsterdam and to GraphQL. So Newcastle to Amsterdam, another conference in Amsterdam. Then I went to Romania. Then I went to React Finland. And then I still went to Denmark, but Denmark was just visiting. And now, if I look back on that, I'm just like, how the fuck did you even survive? I have no idea, but I survived. So I think the worst part is that you start getting so overwhelmed, and you start feeling like it starts feeling alone. Like after a while, because at the beginning it's really fun, but after a while you just start seeing the bad parts of traveling, because it's not fun anymore. Like you do it because you signed up to do it, and that is the worst thing. Is when you sign up for something, and then you're like, oh shit, now I have to do this, and then you cry a bit, and then you cry some more, and then you have to do it. Also, like I think there's like this thing that people say to someone who starts speaking, which is like the anxiety will go away, and like like getting nervous will go away. It never goes away.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but like people don't know this, and people have been lied to.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what's the best advice that you got so far for someone? Maybe in the very beginning, did you ask someone? Because I did. I could share what this guy told me, and I was so nervous, and I was asking him, "Hey, what should I do now?" And yeah, did you have such a moment in the beginning, and did someone actually give you a good advice how to handle this?
I think my main problem is that I didn't have anyone like when I started speaking, I was in Portugal, and I was like a unpaid intern at a company, and like I didn't know a lot of people in my field. So, and I wasn't active on Twitter or anything. So when I started, I didn't get any advice on how to do things. And so I just went by like gut, and I was like, yeah, I guess I can do this. And I think I think if you want to start speaking, reach out to people who are speakers. They can give you some good advice. Sometimes it's bad, but like most of the time it's good, and it actually helps to talk to someone who's already a speaker.
Yeah, I spoke with this guy. He was I think at some point he said something in Twitter or Facebook. Hey, I'm going to live out my apartment because I'm not actually living there. I'm actually traveling through the whole year, making workshops and talks, and so I don't actually spend time there. And so it's that type of a speaker, always busy. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Do you want to do this for a living? Like, do you want to do more talks like this one?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do more talks like this one." And he said, "Okay, then this is just one of them. You have like many talks, so just don't worry. Even if you forget something or if you black out, it's fine. This is just one of many talks." And every time when I'm going to the stage now, I'm actually repeating this to myself. Hey, this is just one of the many. Yeah, it's kind of helping, at least to me.
Yeah, that's actually kind of helpful if you think about the grand scheme of things. Also, mm-hmm. Like there are the people in the conference, and then it's gonna get like a couple hundred views on YouTube, and that's about it. Like
yeah, even sometimes even if the conference is really small one, they don't even publish a video, or they don't have the slides, so it's just like you're 30 minutes there and that's it. It's over.
One thing that I realized that I really like speaking at meetups. I don't know, it feels more community thing, and people like talk to you more, and like yeah, I think I really like speaking at meetups. Also, I don't think I get so nervous at meetups as I do in conferences. I think sometimes it's the fact that people paid to be at the conference. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like if you if you go to a meetup, like no one paid, and like I don't know, the paid part like just drops a bit of like the thing, and I can be more myself, and I can just like, what's up? Let's learn some React.
Yeah, and I think that the tough thing with the meetups is that you actually get instant feedback, and there's no distance between you and the people. While even when you're at a conference, you're a little bit higher there than the audience, like physically higher.
Yeah.
And there is this distance. They can't talk to you. Well, sometimes happen, but usually they don't talk to you when you're presenting. While in the meetups, it's like someone asks you something, and then next 30 minutes you're trying to improve your Git skills just right there. Yeah, I actually did a meetup maybe a month ago, and I wanted to show different stages of development of an app. And what I decided to do is to make different commits, and if I black out or I don't remember how to do something, I'm just jumping between the commits.
Yeah.
And I messed it up, and I totally messed it up. I forgot the how to use Git basically, and how to check the commits and how to switch between commits. One of the guys was really helpful. Hey, you have to do this and that.
I think that actually, like, I've once done a meetup, which I don't know, for some idea, like, I was really busy at that time, and they asked me to do a meetup in Poro, and I was like, oh, yay, hometown, yay, meetup, yay, sounds like a great idea. They're like, do you want to talk about GraphQL? I was like, yeah, sure, but I didn't have any slides or anything, and I was like, I'll just do live coding. I don't know why. I thought this would be better. I completely forgot how JavaScript works. I completely forgot like the basics of React, and I was like, why the fuck isn't this working? Because I was actually returning an element. I was just like curly brackets and then put the JSX in it. I was like, why isn't this working? There's no return. You don't know how to you don't know JavaScript. I'm like, maybe, yeah. So I think that was the most like fuck up of I mean, not the biggest fuck up. I had a worst fuck up, but that was I don't know, in terms of like live coding, I was just like, this was a horrible idea. Why did I think this was going to be a good idea? Oh, because you were lazy and you thought it's making slides was harder.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but every time when I'm going to give a talk, I always, at home, I actually make the presentation, like not just, so the mistake which people doing a lot is, they're preparing for the talk, but what are they doing is they're going through the slides and they're saying to themselves, okay, I'm going to say this on this slide, I'm going to say that on that slide, and they actually don't say it. And I did these mistakes lots of time, especially for such meetings like such meetups like the one that you described. It's a small event, like in my hometown, for example.
It was like 20 people or something.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm going to say this when I'm writing this, and it's fine. And then
it wasn't fine.
Of course, you don't remember actually what you're going to do with this code, and it's like, that's why. Yeah, and even when I'm showing. I actually did live coding only once a month ago. I never actually write code on a conference before. But yeah, so you have a really good experience with teaching people stuff, right? And when we're talking about JavaScript, there's something which I'm really thinking about recently. Is, can you skip something like? For example, do you have to know how to use symbols, or do you have to know how to use WebAssembly to work as a JavaScript developer? And what you actually have to learn, like if you see a position for a React developer, for example. So what's your recommendation? Do you have to learn all the basics, or it's just enough to know how React works? And it's
I think So when I started learning JavaScript, I started learning JavaScript with jQuery, which for a long time it wasn't like a huge problem until I stopped, like until I needed actual JavaScript. So I think most of what you learn is on the job. At least that was my case. So if you know React and the fundamentals of JavaScript, so you know how to handle arrays, you know functions, some promises. I think that's all that you need to start at a junior React developer job. I think that's also, if you think about it, that's mostly what boot camps teach you. And I know plenty of people who came from boot camps are now amazing developers. And I don't think you need to know all of JavaScript before trying to be a developer, because first of all, none of us know all of JavaScript. And second of all, you learn at the job. It's like getting your driver's license. Like when I got my driver's license, I didn't fucking know how to drive. I knew how to stop a car. I was a terrible, terrible driver. I was a shit driver. But I learned how to drive with time, and I learned how to program with time. I think it's the same thing. Like you're going to learn it when you need to learn it. And if you know the basics of JavaScript and you know how some things work, you're going to be okay. I think that's pretty much all you need. I don't think you need to know about symbols and like buffers and stuff like that, and just do a whole lot of like WebGL stuff and WebAssembly to start working as a JavaScript or a React developer or a Vue developer or whatever you choose to do with your life.
Yeah, so from my point of view, I wish I spent more time, especially in the university, for example, learning the basics, because now I see that I can't actually do some stuff because I'm missing some fundamentals. And here's where my question actually coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good to learn like really basic stuff for programming, even just using C, for example, or C++, just to know some really basic stuff, and then because for sure I'll be able to do my job even now with the, I'm completely I'm really bad with algorithms, for example, but I'm still able to like use all the Redux and all the other fancy stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, sometimes I want to do something more advanced, and I really don't know how to do it because, part of the answer is because I'm stupid, but the other part is because I'm missing some fundamentals. So yeah, I was wondering, is this something important?
As someone who didn't go to college as well, like I didn't study any programming languages, like I learned programming at home, I miss a lot of fundamentals. And like there are projects that I want to help and there are things that I want to do that I just don't know how, because I don't know a lot of algorithm stuff. I don't know a lot of like computer science stuff that I have to keep going back to the basics. So if you want to learn programming, I would say, if you can, to learn some fundamentals as well, to learn one of the languages that is more like C or C++ or Java or something like that, and learn some algorithms. It's not necessary, but it's one of those things that after a couple of years, you're going to get decent at your job and you're going to want to do more stuff. And you're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Also, you're not going to get a job at Google if you want one because they ask for algorithms.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I failed at a interview for one of these big companies, and the reason was exactly that. I mean, in the very beginning was just like a vanilla JavaScript and HTML, CSS, and everything was fine. I was passing a couple of stages like through the interview process, and then the last guy, which was we did this interview, and after that I had to go to the office of this company and actually make like a face-to-face interview.
Mm-hmm. Like they travel and make you travel there and stuff.
Yeah, and then he asked me about something about like can you implement like a dummy virtual DOM implementation thing, and of course I started doing something. But yeah, I was missing some algorithmic stuff, and he said, "Yeah, you're a good developer, but we are searching for a better one." Blah blah.
I think the thing is that sometimes I don't think that's fair for a lot of companies to ask about that kind of stuff, knowing that it's like 20% of developers either came from boot camps or learned at home. Like you're usually not gonna learn algorithms at home when you start because it's not fun. You want to build shit. Like you want to make stuff move. And you want to do that. You don't want to learn about algorithms. Like you may want to learn that later. So there's a huge gap between the people who actually went to university and the people who didn't sometimes. And I feel like sometimes that is kind of unfair. Does that make sense? I mean, not in all cases. Like as a front-end developer, if you're going to get hired as a front-end developer, they ask about that kind of stuff. And you're probably just going to be changing colors of buttons. Y'all need to chill the fuck down.
Yeah, to be honest, I completely, first of all, I completely agree with you. And what I see happening is that it's not really that important how good developer you are on an implementation level. Like, how to implement stuff. But something which it's really it's something really important right now. I think it's also the soft skills. Like, can you actually be part of the team? Like, for example, the company that I work for, we met really good developers, and they were showing really good skills at the interview. But then at the end, when we had to decide, should we hire this guy or this woman, and we were like, it's not really fitting in our team.
I don't want to work with this person. It's a completely valid thing to say.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's actually more important, even if you don't answer all the algorithmic questions. If you're a nice person and if you laugh at their jokes, for example, this maybe it's even more important to be part of the team, because everything could be learned, right? But you can't just change the person, right?
I usually say something actually, which is at one of the companies that I worked for, there were two people who were not very good. Like, they've been working in the field and they were not very good. Like, it's fine. But one of them was a dick. And the other one was a really nice person. Like, he was really nice. So every time he asked anyone for help, everyone would help him because he was a nice guy. The other one was a dick. And I was like, you can teach someone how to code. You can't undick a person. You just can't.
You can't undick a person.
You can't undick a person. So I would rather teach someone for hours how to code than to teach someone how to behave like a decent human being.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Also, my old company and this company have soft skills. The last interview is all about soft skills, basically. It's how you work with people and if you're a basic decent human being, basically. And that's the most important part.
Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about React.
Yes.
Why do you think React is so popular? I mean, well, obviously it's made by a big company. They're using it, so we assume that it's a good piece of software, should be working. But why people are using React so much, and why they are adopting it so easily?
I think the main reason people started using React and are still using it is literally because it makes sense. Like, you have divs and sections in your app, and then they were like, what if we make this one JavaScript file, then you can put together into several files that make a page. And then everyone's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. So I think React is very much used because it pretty much doesn't have an API. Like, you import React and you export JSX, and that's what you do, and you pass things into it, and you can build huge things with small things, and It was a time, like when React came out, it was a time where I think most people were using Angular 1. And that was the time where Angular 1 tried to be like componentized, but it didn't really work. Oh, sorry, I thought the internet failed. But it didn't really work. And then React came along and everyone just grabbed on it because it was exactly what we needed at the time. And it didn't really like go out of fashion. Like I've seen huge React projects and it's complicated, but it's fine. Like it's manageable. And also it's very easy to just like, you can use several state management things in your one React project. You just split it and you can do that. It was pretty impossible to do that in Angular, for example. Like if you used one thing, you'd have to use that forever. In Angular 1, like, or Ember or Backbone or something. So I think it's because React makes sense and also because it's exactly what we needed at the time. And it's not, besides JSX, it's mostly JavaScript. A lot of the things are just JavaScript. There is no fancy things. You map all over things and you return HTML. And that makes sense. And people don't have to learn a whole new thing. And that's great. And I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, that's I always find this question really really interesting because I'm going to give a talk on the title of the talk is React is a why, and my theory is that everything that you're saying is right, but it's also wrong because I mean it indeed it's really easy. The composability is like on a high level. It's really easy to compose stuff, and it's really easy to start because indeed there's almost no API. But at the same time, if you wanna build a big React app, you need lots of stuff. And like I have a friend, he's usually a sysadmin, and he wanted to build like a dashboard for, I don't know, for reporting something. And he was thinking, okay, this JavaScript thing, React thing shouldn't be really that difficult, and all this hype around React, I want to try it. I mean, we spent the whole day, he was writing to me all day long, hey, how to, first was the setup, was I need like a Babel, I need Webpack, I need
the best thing that happened was create React app.
Yeah, and well, yeah, I pointed him to this thing, and then I said you have to use like a yarn eject or something. What was the command?
Yeah.
For like removing all the stuff and basically leaving just the setup. And he was like, why this is so complicated? Anyways, let's start with React. And then he started doing like one page, and then he needed like some click events to store some information, to get some information. I'm like, now you need something more. It's not just React. You need a state management. Okay, check Redux. He was like, what? And then he checked Redux, and 1 hour later, okay, I'm now using Redux. Now he started writing like a bunch of actions and stuff. Now I have something asynchronous. Okay, check Redux Saga. Oh, what's that? Generators. I don't know generators. Blah blah. And then he actually ended up saying, okay, fuck it. I'll just make it like a simple PHP, like a PHP website, which when you click something, you actually reload the whole page. It's fine. It's just a dashboard for internal usage. It's fine. So that's why I think React is really weird thing, because from one side it's really easy to start, but from another one you have to actually if you want to build something big, which is like scaling a lot, and you have to add like immutability helpers and at least Redux, because Redux is kind of simple. But then you need like this Redux Tongue or Redux Saga to handle all the asynchronous processes. So it's still weird to me. But I do agree with your points. It's just always when I say React is easy and it's easy to start and it's scalable and blah blah, then at the end I'm like, yeah, but sometimes when your app is big, it's getting complicated because this and this and that.
I mean, by pretty much standard apps, you have to install state management, or if you use GraphQL, you may not have to install state management, but you have to install React Apollo, and you have to install a router. You're always going to need a router, so you're going to use either React router or Reach router or whatever you want to use. You're going to need a lot of helper functions. If you want to make your style scalable, you have to either use CSS modules or CSS and JS, and then there's more things to install. And yeah, so it's React itself is, I'm not going to say easy, but it's not big. But then like React doesn't do a lot by itself. That's their whole motto.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. When you're when we are talking about React, we should be talking about React ecosystem, no?
Yeah.
Because yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So
I forgot about the CSS thing. That's a whole other world there.
I once had like a really productive conversation with a friend of mine that I was like, something emotion or style components. I don't remember. She was like, I don't really like CSS and JS. I like CSS modules. And I'm like, that's fine. I like CSS and JS. And she was like, that's fine. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is the first time this conversation actually went so smoothly with literally anyone. No one like questioned the other person. It was like, that's fine.
Yeah, well, I do think that the CSS in JavaScript, it makes sense. I mean, I see even before React, there were some ideas about writing your styles in with JavaScript. It really makes sense to me. It's just how it works. It works vaguely. Yeah. We're now using styled components. At least right now we spend some time, well, a lot of time writing this design system where everything is a component. So I'm not writing CSS anymore, or at least not every week. If I need something, I'm just getting the component. I know that this is like a grid. I have rows and columns and blah blah, and everything is just done already. So yeah, it doesn't look really bad now. It's just components here and there, and but yeah, it took some time for the people to come with sensible solution for the CSS and JavaScript thing.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues that like the first couple of iterations were inline styles, and then everyone just assumed that CSS and JS was inline styles forever, and it's not. But I think that's one of the problems that happened. Also, because there's no actual extraction of your CSS up to this point. I think no library has that. So you can't just extract all of your CSS in JS into a CSS file. Yeah. And some people really want that, and I get why. But I think as soon as we fix some of the stuff like extraction, it will be more widely used even more, which I think is good. I think people are starting to see that there are some benefits. There are some things that are worse, of course, but there are some benefits, and that's really good. That's all that I wanted, was people to be like, CSS and JS is not shit. I don't use it, but it's okay. And I'm like, okay, that's valid.
Yeah. I think styled components are going pretty well.
Yeah, I actually use style components as well. Yeah, I really like it. It was the first one of the first ones that I used because I didn't like object-based CSS and JS. Yeah, so when style components came out, I was just like, this is exactly what I needed in my life. God bless Max Stoiber. And so I actually only started doing a lot of CSS and JS there. So I still use style components to this day. Just updated to version 4, actually, one of my projects.
Oh, we're not updating anything.
There's a really cool thing, which is now like Inject Global supports your theme. You can use variables from your theme in Inject Global, which is nice. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff, but that one is really nice.
That seems interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So, okay. I see a use case for this in our code base. Okay. I'll check it out. Yeah. What about testing? You what do you think about testing of React components? Is it something that's well? First of all, the tools. We started using Enzyme by Airbnb.
Bless them.
Yeah, but then we moved to just Jest, right? I think we're now happy using this one. What's your experience about testing React? Do you think that it's difficult, or are there enough tools for this?
I think there is. So I think Jest is great. I use Jest for Node and everything. So Jest by itself is really good. And I usually use Enzyme. There's also a React testing library, if I'm not mistaken, by Kenzie Dodds, which is also pretty good. I think we have really decent tools. So, for example, snapshots have been one of the best things that ever happened to this world. Snapshots are great. I fucking love snapshots.
Yeah. We actually found something weird mainly because we are lazy. But when some of the snapshot tests are actually failing, what we are doing is basically because it's a huge file, right? If the component is a big one, you get this big diff, and then most of us in our team, you just scan really quick through the changes and you think, yeah, it's fine, and then you hit U and you don't care. And a couple of times we actually miss some stuff, and then we were thinking, okay, then we should be careful about making snapshot testing. We just decided to do it for specific cases. And sometimes when you wanna see if a specific wording is part of the React component, we just check, like really getting the string and comparing string to string. While previously it was like, this is part of the generated HTML, let's just do a snapshot testing, and then you just write a line in the test suite and it's fine. But yeah, now we are a little bit careful because we found that we're too lazy and sometimes it's difficult to check the whole snapshot.
At the last thing that I was in, we had the design system as well, and all of that was tested using Jest and Jest style components, which we used to, because since it was a design system, the most important part was that it was consistent. So we tested a lot of the actual CSS because we also use style components, and that was really good. Also because it doesn't. So the thing that thing does is that it doesn't generate the random strings for your CSS classes. So if you change the CSS class, it won't actually just show the name changing. It will show what you changed. So like you can expect the text to be green. And we did a lot of those tests. So in the design system, most of the tests were snapshots and CSS. And then on the actual code, there were not so many snapshots as well. Yeah, I think if what you're testing has a lot of how can I say, a lot of logic in it, it doesn't make a lot of sense to use snapshots. Yeah, it's mostly for visual things. I think it makes sense for visual things. Does that make sense? This is what I'm saying.
While you're talking about this, I'm trying to remember how many times we actually had issues with this is just the CSS class changed, and this generated class was just the only one changed in the snapshot, and this happened really often. But with the thing that you are saying, this is this like an extension or plugin on, or what's this? Like,
let me just style components. I think that's the name. It's made by Michel Bertoli. Is just style components, no? Okay. Oh.
Shit, we're using it. Okay, I didn't know about that. So we had this conversation about the snapshot test when I'm running the test that I get one IDs, and then I push this change, and then the tests to my colleague are failing, and they fail because only because this generated string, and it looks like he fixed it using this thing. Okay.
Yeah, so instead of just getting the class name, you actually get what it changed. So Yeah, so it explains like on the first thing, which I think is really good because you can actually see what changed, and you can also like you can expect things. Where is that? So render max snapshot. No, this is not what I want. No, this is just snapshots. Yeah, so you can like expect something to have a style rule of color red, for example, which is like what we mostly used for our design system. Like we used this and we used a mix of snapshots, but it was mostly this and snapshots. And you can also just import your theme. Like what? So we always imported this and our theme, and just use theme.primary. So expect color to be theme.primary. So if we change the actual theme.primary, we knew that they were supposed to change basically, and we didn't have to manually do it. You can also you can also do things for like max width and stuff like that. It works really well.
That uh, that sounds really really nice because we tried a couple of times to use these services where you say this page should look like this, and this service makes like a screenshot of the page, and then basically it's making image to image diff.
Yeah,
And it's
like Puppeteer or something like that.
yeah, and it didn't work really well, to be honest, because it depends of the I guess it's tricky because if the sometimes it's just like a 2 pixels difference, which is fine, and then you have to go there and say, yeah, this is fine, okay, just mark this as like a new screenshot. And but with this thing you could actually check the real CSS, which is which is nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really nice tool. I like it.
Yeah.
I also like Michel. He's really nice.
Yeah, he wrote something about state machines, or
Yeah, he did a talk about
okay.
state machines in React.
Okay, yeah, this at some point I was really really interested in this. Then I tried to save it to my colleagues, but they didn't like it, and and then I wrote some library. I wrote an article about it, and then I stopped. My enthusiasm just
Died.
Yeah. That's I feel bad because one of my libraries, I see that people are using it, and the thing which I did for it was I actually made it up, and then because I saw that the people are using it and they started asking about stuff, and I didn't think about design architecture or something, and what I was doing was just patching the library all the time, and now the code is actually really complete spaghetti. It's really really bad, and I really don't want to touch it. I just don't want to work on this, and from time to time I'm getting issues in GitHub, and then I'm sorry guys, I'm just ignoring them because I really don't want to work on this thing anymore.
I know this guy who's usually said like I really like making open source stuff and then never touching it again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me it's just having fun writing something. Maybe and I think that's one of the dark side of the open source. It's like you have to because you build something, and if you know that there are like a bunch of companies using it, you basically start feeling some responsibility to these people.
Yeah.
And you don't want to break, you want to support them and stuff, and this thing is actually biting you at some point.
Yeah, you start because it's something that you want to do, and then you keep doing it because you feel bad. So I think we're seeing a trend in the things we're saying right now. You start doing it because it's really cool, and then you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly, and sometimes I just don't know how the other people are doing it. Like Kenzie Dots, for example. Oh gosh.
No, he's a superhero. He's a superhero. Like that is impossible. Like I don't know. Like he's really. I think like if we sit down and do something for 30 minutes, it's like if we sit down and do something for 2 hours, it's what it takes like 30 minutes to do or something. I don't know. I don't know. That's the only explanation for what I have.
So I actually asked him how you're uh, so productive, how it's actually possible to do this, and
Exactly.
considering the fact that he has like how many, like 5 kids or something,
He
it's
has 3 kids and like one on the
3.
way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so 4. Okay. um
3.5.
yeah. And he said that yeah, he's doing this as part of his job, which means that you could actually do some open source stuff while you're at work, which for most of the people, I guess, it's just not happening. At least not to me. But yeah, still quite impressive, to be honest.
It's quite impressive because what I really think is really impressive is that the APIs that he makes are really good. Like when he makes something, the API that comes out of it, like the way that I use it, I'm just like, dude, this is amazing. Bless you. It
Well,
does.
that's a talent, I would say. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Like there are a lot of like these things just work at the first try. Like it's one of those things that if you can see Dodds made it, you can be sure that it's just like pretty much gonna work at the first try. And that's one of the best things you can have, honestly.
yeah. Someday, I wish I'll be
Someday I'll
something
be
like.
half as productive as Kenzie Dodds.
Yeah. Well, I always say that, and even now I'm 30, 34. Not yet, but I'm close to 34. I see how like some 20 years old ish developers. I think when you're getting older, you're actually getting slower. You kind of lose of your productivity, um, and yeah, that's something a little bit sad, which I'm when I'm thinking about this, because I know that I can't actually beat this guy. So we had a colleague which he started as a junior developer, and 2 months later he was he just like maybe not better, but for sure at my level, and he was able to do stuff which yeah, took less time, and he was thinking, and he was proactive and stuff. So maybe it's also the age. When you're getting older, you're actually maybe getting smarter but getting slower.
I think it's also like you stop having so much time. Like I don't have a family, for example, and I know for sure that if I have a family, I'm gonna have way less time to do code, which is completely valid because I should care about my family.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that's my point of view for right now. Yeah.
yeah, so I think it happens, and I think it's okay. Like I think sometimes people do a lot of code on their free time because they're at home and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna do some code. I'm gonna help some open source. But then as you grow older, you stop having other responsibilities, and like code just drops down a bit on the line of responsibilities, which is also I think completely valid. So I think it's a bit of both. Like there are people who just don't do code on their spare time, which is completely valid. I've actually got a friend of mine messaged me once about like a week ago, and she said like, "Am I a real developer because I don't code on my free time?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? Who the fuck told you you're not a real developer because you don't code on your free time?" She was like, "There was this girl who was like, I don't know how you learn because you don't code on your free time." And I was like, punch her in the face.
Nah, yeah,
What?
you don't have
What?
to code all the time. Yeah, it's
No, like, and there are days that you just don't want to code, and there are days that you don't care about coding. Like, if you code all the time, you're eventually going to burn out and not want to code again ever. So,
yeah. Um. Okay, so we're close to 1 hour, which is usually the time frame for me at least. At the end, what's your next conference or a workshop so people could
oh, my next,
basically
yeah.
uh, advertise the event like make some noise for the next conference. I don't know how many there are.
My next conference is actually I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to Italy with my roommate, so it's really nice. I live with Manjula. She's also a developer, and we're both speaking at React.js Day in Italy. And then I have Rode.js, which I'm also really excited. So those are the next two conferences that I have. So Rode.js, I'm just doing a workshop, and React.js Day, I'm doing a talk. I've actually been there for JS Day in Italy, so it was really nice. So I'm really happy to be back. And also, I'm not traveling alone. Yay!
Oh, this will be nice. Is this in Verona?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay. This place is really nice. We've been we wanted to visit Verona, but we actually visited another small city close to the lake. Oh, I forgot the name. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm sure it would be nice. I think I saw the lineup. There's some like big names as well there. So yeah, if you listener of this podcast, if you're close to Italy and yeah, you want to learn some stuff, visit Verona. It would be nice. Okay, so yeah, thank you for being part of this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.